Hi paper crafters, Olga here. In this video I'd like to introduce you to my new collection that is called Vintage High Street. The largest die of the collection is meant to create a 3D card that can be folded totally flat and that can be turned into different kinds of stores and shops. There are two stencils that have a vintage wallpaper pattern, and those can be used with the stores or on their own. There are also 4 die sets plus 4 stamp sets, and those are going to help you to create 4 kinds of stores. They are the haberdashery store, the hand tool store, the flower shop, and the cake shop. I am going to explain how each of those sets works in a minute. And now let me mention that there is also a patterned paper pad. Unfortunately, that one is still on its way to me, but you can definitely check it out at CraftStash. Now let's start with the largest die set, the one that creates the shape of the card. There is actually a guide at the back side of the packaging on how to put the mechanism together, but it can be used in more ways, and this is what I would like to show you in this video. The set contains 24 dies, and by the way, the images are much larger than the picture shows. Here is the bicycle, for instance. Because there are so many dies, it might be a little bit confusing, but if you take the 3 largest dies and set them apart, you will notice that these 3 are for creating the mechanism of the card, and the rest are the embellishments and add-ons. Then you just have to die cut all 3 largest elements. The largest die is 5 by 10 inches, and that means you can use it with the Big Shot or any other 6-inch die cutting machine. You just have to run it through twice. Now let's put the card together. The die creates 4 score lines that you can fold the cardstock along. Here is the first way to put this card together. There are actually 3 ways, and each of them has its own use. This way is perfect for creating the outside of the shop. I will explain it to you a bit later. For the first mechanism, we used just 1 largest piece. For the second one, we are going to use the 2 pieces. I'm folding the first one just like I did before, and then I'm going to add this strip with 2 tabs. I'm folding down both tabs and applying some glue onto them. You can use any glue that you prefer, and then I'm going to attach that strip right here inside that niche. This is going to create a counter for my shop. I would say this second mechanism is perfect for creating the inside of the shop rather than outside. The third mechanism is also for creating the inside of the shop. I'm starting by creating the same shape as I did for the second project, and then I'm also adding the third one. I'm applying the glue just as shown, and I'm adding it at the bottom of the mechanism like this. And then I'm going to fold down the large tab. This way we can create a really large countertop and add a lot of elements inside the card. By the way, this card is still totally foldable. You just have to push the large tab up and fold it down like this, and when folded, this card measures exactly 5 by 7 inches and can fit into the 5 by 7 envelope. Now let's have a closer look at all 3 types of cards, and I will show you how you can decorate them using the rest of the dies from the set. Let's have a closer look at the first and the simplest mechanism. As I mentioned, this one is great for creating the outside of the shop. Here I have all the remaining elements die cut out of white cardstock, and I'm going to show you how you can fit them onto the card. So the largest of them is the door, and this one has a flap that you can fold down. You can attach this door right here in the center of the card. You can stick it down flat if you want to, or you can attach just the tab, and this way you can open and close the door. You can add a personal message behind, or you can kind of look inside the shop through that door. You can of course use colored papers and any coloring techniques. I'm using white here just for demonstration. I have attached the glue onto the tab only, and here you can see that this door can be opened and closed. You can also attach this door to the side of the card and create your own shop design. I'm just showing you here the most obvious way to use it. Another important element is the window. Here we have the rectangular window, plus we have the arch separately. You can use just a rectangle like this, or you can add the arch on top and attach them separately. Or there is a third way. You can actually flip over this die, apply some glue, and attach the arch onto the window to make two elements work as one. And in this case, the crown becomes a windowsill. Here it is at the bottom of the card. You can attach this window at the side of the card or at both sides, or you can add it in the center instead of the door if you wanted to. There is also another die that fits perfectly onto the side of the card, and this one cuts out raised panels. You can use the elements just like that. You can attach them at both sides, or you can use the same die and cut into the side of the card. This way the panel areas will be completely cut out, and the die is also going to add the decorative score line. This element can be used both for the outside and the inside of the shop. There are also some more dies for the outside, like this awning for instance. This one also fits into the niche. You can attach it right above the door. There is also a bicycle that you can park by your shop, just like this. There is also a die-cut word shop that you can attach above the door or in any other place. There are a couple of potted plants that you can use both outside and inside of the shop. You can attach them to the side of the card by the bicycle or below the window. There is also a nice small hanging sign included in the set, and this one is going to fit perfectly onto the door. The next die here is also the wall panel. This one has no cutting edge, but instead it can create a debossed pattern. So here I have it debossed on a piece of paper, and it can also fit to the side of the card. There are more nice additions that you can use on your project, like for instance that large fancy cast iron hanging sign. Now let's move on to the second mechanism. This time we are creating the inside of the shop. Here we can use this awning for instance. We can also add it inside, or we can trim down that little tab at the side and use the score line to fold down that piece, and then it's going to fit right onto the countertop, and it's going to work like a tablecloth. This one's going to be perfect for the cake shop that we are going to look at a bit later. To decorate the inside of the shop, we can use the panels or the windows on the sides of the card, and then we can also add lots of shelves inside. There are 3 shelf dies included in the set. They are the largest one, the medium one, and the smaller one. The larger 2 shelves are mostly for the center of the card, but the smallest one can also be used for the sides of the card. This way you can add more shelves instead of the panels or the windows. There are also 3 decorated rectangle dies in the set, and those ones are to make the drawers. This way we can turn the counter into the cabinet, and those drawers also fit to the sides of the card. Now let's move on to the third mechanism. I would say that this one is kind of a close-up of the countertop. With this mechanism we can use really a lot of shelves and drawers, and this one is the perfect one to use with all the add-ons from the collection. You can create a really nice display of cakes or flowers or other things. Now, talking about all other things that you can display, let's have a look at the remaining products from the collection. There are 4 large stamp sets, each of them is 6 by 8 inches. Here we have a tool shop, and this one is going to be perfect for masculine cards. Then there is a flower shop with all kinds of flowers plus some gardening instruments, and there is also a cake, tea and coffee shop. The last one is the haberdashery with all the sewing accessories and nice labels too. There are also 4 dies that are the same theme, that are flowers, cakes, tools and sewing, but there is something I'd like to explain about using the dies and stamps. Just a few dies from the set work as the matching dies for the stamped images. In this case, they are a couple of potted plants, a rubber boot and a poster. All the remaining dies from the set are meant to work on their own. They are really intricate images and there are no matching stamps for them. Although you can definitely use them along with the stamps. For instance, that flower stand can be used both with the dies or with the stamped images that are cut out. If you want to create a flower shop, you can simply place the die cut and stamped images all around your countertop. You can add the flower box below the window if you want to, and you can also place the large poster just behind the counter. The thing that I'd like to point out about those stamps is that they are the hand-drawn style. They already have some shading added to them, and that means they don't require coloring. You can of course choose to color them if you like, but it is also quite possible just to stamp them onto the background or onto the plain paper or patterned paper and simply cut them out. All the remaining die and stamp sets work the same way. The stamps are hand-drawn style. Some of the dies are matching dies for the stamped images, like for instance the teapot and some labels here. The remaining stamps and dies work individually and you can mix and match them. This tool shop die and stamp set is really my favorite. You can use that toolbox and you can fill it in with the tools that you like. There are some really stylish labels and signs included. There's also a brick texture in the stamp set that you can use anywhere on your project. And I think that that circle DIY label will be perfect for sealing the envelopes. Haberdashery die and stamp set, the same story here. Some of the dies and stamps are matching and the rest are to be used individually and you can mix and match them. Now, one more little thing to be explained. That hanging sign die is from the main set with the card mechanism, but it works perfectly with the hanging signs from the stamp sets. Needless to say that all 4 die and stamp sets do not necessarily require the main mechanism. They can totally be used on their own on a great variety of paper crafting projects and with different styles. I hope you enjoyed today's demonstration, and please stay tuned because I'm going to publish more tutorials where I'm going to create the actual projects using the products from this collection. Have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you soon.